This week in the League of Legends, we've got a brand new patch out for you now to enjoy. Additionally, we've got some fascinating pool party challenges for the summertime. Finally, very intriguing custom chroma and otherwise skins. Public test route. All this and more on the Spazda Gaming web show.
This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis, and we are here today to talk about the League of Legends. This is an ongoing show where we talk a little bit about everyone's favorite MOBA-style battle game.
Patch 511, or as we called it...
Riot was behind 511.
Yep. And the problem is, everybody gets a nerf, except for Jace, for some reason.
So let's jump right on and into it. Aatrox, being the headmaster here, got a cooldown reduction on his Resurrection ult. So it reduces in how long it takes for it to refresh at later levels, going all the way down to 150 seconds. Level 16. Pretty fun. Ashe got twinked around with a little bit. So the 5-stack of Flurry no longer triggers on attacks against turrets. So you can spool it up onto a target that actually is beneficial, which is helpful. Volley's damage was decreased at lower levels, so you're going to have to rely more on your auto attacks. Hawkshot's vision radius whilst traveling was reduced by 500 units, so it's less sight on your way there.
Right.
Pyroclasm, it's pretty crazy. This is really helpful for Brand.
If Pyroclasm originally target becomes untargetable during its travel time, it will seek out a different target rather than just fizzling out on the spot. Huge buff to him, especially if there's late game and a lot of people are doing
Zhonya's Bard.
Yes.
Bard's ulti. You've got Fizz. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
So there will be a way for him to actually continue the effect of it for its finishing bounces.
Will this even affect characters that die with a res effect, like Zillion's ultimate or a Guardian Angel?
Maybe. I'm not sure what what that's considered. But either way, this, the worst thing ever is when you throw your ult and then it's second target goes invulnerable and then it just fizzles out the whole thing.
Heck, maybe if they just die regularly, will it keep bouncing? That's what I'm curious about. Caitlyn's got twinkered around. Caitlyn! She got twinkered around with real good. Headshot now passively ignores 50% of the target's bonus armor against champions, which is incredible. Yordle Snap Trap now has a standardized arm time, so there's a little bit less guesswork, even though it wasn't very much guesswork to begin with. And now, Ace in the Hole will give a brief amount of vision at the start of the cast rather than at the end.
And this is why she is currently disabled, because there was a bug where certain characters would flash or use an ability, and it would continuously mark them with vision for the rest of the game.
Yay!
So she's been disabled. I don't know if this effect's going to stay on the ult or if this is going to get removed because of patch time. They fixed it. And then they're like, yeah, it opened up a big more can of worms, so whoops.
Our bad. Echo got a tinkering with as well, because we love to tinker this patch. Move speed got knocked down by 5 points. Good, he's too mobile. Parallel convergence mana cost went up at lower levels. The vision is now granted 2 seconds after the cast, and the detonation zone is far more readable. This makes this a lot less of a utility ability and makes you actually have to wonder if it's the right time to use it, which is good. Chrono Break will now have increased visibility on where you're going to be, especially
for the
enemies, which is good. So lots of changes when you're fighting him, not so much for playing him.
A blue nerf for Hecarim. Warpath, the movement speed
cycle basically for how much bonus AD you get. Now updates when it's relevant to your character stats every 0.25 seconds rather than every 1 second. This means you'll be able to not quite snapshot as much, but on the flip side, you'll be able to get benefits from, for instance, like Devastating Charge and Ghost a little bit more frequently.
Yes.
Which is very helpful.
And Devastating Charge, the move speed bonus, stacks additionally with other movement speed bonuses.
Rather than multiplicatively, which is incredibly good.
Yes. Jace, he got the buff hammer really hard. To the skies, the base damage, cooldown, and slow all were increased. Cooldown reduction went down to 6 seconds at its latest level, so that's really, really good for him. Shock Blast went up in damage in later levels, all the way up to 320. Lightning Field damage went up to 400 late levels. Hypercharge damage multiplier went up to 110%, and the cooldown reduction went down to 6.6 down to 5 at the very end. And then Thundering Blow, the damage increased to 10, 12, 15, 17. Little, like, small numbers in between target's maximum health, and the cooldown reduction slightly went up. The acceleration gate, the movement speed bonus, is now up to 55% at final ranks. And Transform gives the old level up benefits now given at 6, 11, and 16.
Which is really, really helpful, especially for that resistance reduction that you get from swapping to ranged mode.
Yeah, he's got a lot more cooldowns, and you're going to be able to do a lot of cool stuff. I know with Hypercharge, Accelerator, as well as like switching to your melee form and bashing people, it's going to be a lot deadlier because of that damage increase and the uptime.
Yeah, well, a lot of things that I noticed about these Jace changes, especially, is that they're making more incremental at the mid ranks. So then, rather than having very blocky sort of routine changes to how much damage he does, it's very sort of almost a little random. It's like gain 1.6%, gain 3.4%. It's kind of weird, but it works.
The math nerd's like, I really have to do this percentage amount.
It might make his level up path a little bit different depending on which you want to go, because you have a lot more damage outside of just spamming Shock Blast, which is nice.
Yeah.
Katriana, Shunpo damage, slightly down. Really hard to complain about that. Everyone hates Katriana.
LeBlanc, Distortion, the missile speed went down to...
Speaking of nerfing assassins.
went down to 1,300. Ethereal Change, the missile went down to 55. Distance check now to see if the target has broken the tether 4 times as fast.
So there's a lot less, how did that hit me? And more like, okay, I got away at the last second. It's fine.
Right.
And this persists to the Mimic forms as well. So good changes overall. Malphite! Rip Malphite! Oh
Rip.
My gosh, no.
His
you know
uniqueness.
You know how I mentioned a month ago that I still loved 80 Malphite and I played Cleave Malphite all the time? I guess they heard me, because Malphite no longer gets the passive of 62 to 30% Cleave. Instead, he just gets additional armor. And the active effect, instead of increasing his armor and attack damage, just makes his basic attacks do...
Small cleave
with AP scaling into physical damage, which is stupid, and it is bad on every character that it's been used on, and I don't know why they're doing it. I guess they just don't.
Oh, people are playing AP Malphite, so that means it's good, right?
Yeah. No. Rise. Rune Prison and Spell Flux on a dying target will build stacks on dying targets, but only if the mana is consumed. So they only build stacks now if you have already cast the spell. If the stuff is in the air, you will still get the stacks. But if you are winding up and they die, you don't get the stacks anymore. So this is a small bug, but yeah, Rise is really fast at casting spells. More nerfs for Sejuani.
She's been really good in the LCS.
4% was knocked off of Flail the Northern Wind's initial activation damage. They just can't finish with her. Shen now gets magic resistance per level. It's pretty crazy. And Shadow Dash now gets cheaper to use in energy as he levels up, which is really wild.
He's just going to be dashing around at the speed of sound.
Shyvana, they figured after the Cinderhulk thing and her ridiculousness, they're like, all right, well, she's not as ridiculous. We need to bring her back up to that level of ridiculousness. Whenever she auto-attacks while she has her AoE up, she does even more magic damage that scales off physical damage, because that's a great idea. Hate him. I hate him. Great stuff.
Sivir, on the hunt, the movement speed duration is now from 246 to 234.
Really big nerfs.
Yeah.
Only way to get away from stuff getting hurt even worse.
And not only that, it's a great chasing tool and it's a great initiation tool. So that extra 2 seconds in late levels can really hurt a team if you're going into combat or fighting for an objective. Luden's Echo.
Rather than nerfing the characters that are problematic for Ludens, they have decided to nerf the item itself, which is always a bad idea. Luden stacks now only gain half the amount of stacks per spell cast. The AP ratio on the ability itself has been reduced by 0.05, and this affects all of the Luden's Echo on all the maps. Speaking of all the weapons on all the maps, the changes to Wicked Hatchet and Van Damme's Cleaver now have their critical strikes and basic attacks bleed enemies for a X amount of bonus physical damage as magic damage. And the Van Damme's one is particularly awesome because it also reveals them for the duration. However, this means that poor old Twisted Tree Lion no longer has a critical strike increasing item, which is kind of a drag. And that's really it. They tinkered around with Twisted Tree Lion a little bit, so you get more gold per kill. The buffs from mobs are in the game as well, so it's a little bit more interesting to have a jungler on your comp. And yeah, you're just going to have more gold and slightly more interesting items and bleed effects. It's really neat.
After the Hexakill, I think the people that have never played Twisted Tree Line before have gotten into it, because I think the people have played it more after the event was over. People are like, I really like this map. And it's a good map. I hate how the meta is very tank heavy. Mm-hmm. But 6v6, you can play whatever you want, and there'll always be like people to hide behind. You're like, ah.
That's right.
So, for this summer, we have the return of the Pool Party skins. And we got an interesting bunch. First of all, we have a skin that we've been waiting for since his release.
Trundle?
Zac.
Huh.
Yes, Pool Party Zac has finally been added after the, it's really hard to make a skin for Zac. He's very dynamic. We finally got it. And he looks like a water elemental.
He's water.
So, he's water.
Yeah, I bet he could split up into 33 parts.
Or deal 33% extra damage towards Scrub.
Mundo is purple and he has a uke.
Yeah, he's gonna be the weakest link of this one.
And I thought this was actually a Fizz skin, but it's Lulu.
Yeah.
So whoops. We have Draven with some floaty things.
Gavin and Rek'sai.
Stop trying to make Gavin happen. It's not gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
And then Rek'sai, he's right. It's a Sharknado, which is pretty cool.
With now, like floaties and.
Indeed, very interesting skins. But the cool part about this is they're doing a little rewards program, kind of similar to what they did with the Oceania.
Yeah, I think that was a test bed for it. So how this works is you can earn points to unlock things accumulatively for everybody in the world. 5 points per team if you win a matchmaking game, no bots, on Summoner's Rift, Howling Abyss, Crystal Scar, in a 5-made pre-made party. You can earn 10 points for giving a gift to another player, and you can earn 20 points for giving a gift to another player at the end of game screen. So if you're going to give a friend a gift, do it at the end of the game.
That's correct, Wendy.
And some of the stuff you can earn is the first tier. Team up IP rewards. So if you're in a party, you get more bonuses because rewarding people to play with each other hinders everybody that wants to play alone.
That's right. I hate that. I hate it.
Level 2 is tons of discounts. They're talking about pool party bundles, frozen pool party bundle, which is like winter skins. The original pool party skins will be at half price, 25% off ARAM skin boosts. And items in the Riot merch shop, all shirts will be 30% off at $17.50, or your original equivalent. At level 3, you will get a pool party icon and a mystery champion. Now, what this is they will just give you a champion that you do not own for free.
Which is great.
Which is awesome. And you get a really cool Zac little icon. Level 4 at 35 million points. Keep that in mind, that's a lot of points. They will change the minions on Summoner's Rift to be themed for the event. They will have little sun hats, little umbrellas, surfboards, all that stuff. Really, really cool. I'm glad to see that's going to be an option. At level 5, there will be an IP weekend for everybody that's in a party. And finally, at level 6, Pool Party Mundo will be unlocked for purchase.
For everyone who earned at least 1 point during Team Up Week. Which means you have to get a 5-man group together or spend some Riot points, fellas.
So, yeah, I'd honestly say if you're looking to buy one of these skins, do what Axis and I do during these events. We actually get into a party, or we just trade off with each other, get what we need, and
right.
Just call it good.
We're not team players.
Well, everything else is like,
I am not a team player, dang it.
I am not a player.
Very interesting, though. We'll have to see how many points happen. I'm not a huge fan of the team up to get points idea.
Not all of us play.
See, I like that it's a 5-man pre-made. That's the thing that I like. If it's 5-man, you don't have to make anyone suffer through your bad team comps. But if it was like a 4 or 3, I'd be upset.
Right.
But this is fun. This should be fun. No big deal.
Yeah, there needs to be more solo content, I do believe.
Indeed. I want to run LFR with none of my friends. And finally, we've got a metric bunch of stuff on the PBE. So, of course, I have all the pool party skins. And then we have a bunch of chroma packs.
Yeah, we have chroma packs for Zac, Darius,
Cataline, Morgana, and, of course, Rocket Girl Tristiana.
Master Yi got one updated earlier today, too, so
lots of chroma packs. Still not the biggest fan of them. I think they're too expensive. But if you've already got an expensive skin like some of the ones that are on this list, that might be just the thing to make you stand out.
I do really like the color palette they chose for Caitlyn, though. The blue, the green, and I think it's like a dark red. No, it's a pink. I really think that stands out. So if any of those would be close enough to a skin cost, those are a huge dramatic change. Darius...
much like Garen's, is not very good.
Now
I like the black and gold, kinda.
I like the white and gold one.
But if I'm going to go with the black and gold, I might as well do Lord Darius.
Morgana, the color palette change is just too minimal.
It's dark. It's hard to notice. Tristiana...
Every one of them looks like the punk skin.
It's the same, except you change your hair color. It's like, why even bother?
Zac, it's pink, orange, and other orange.
Bubblegum Zac, why not?
Headhunter Master Yi is a pretty cool one.
Probably the only good one on the list.
Yeah,
Each one of these is very distinct.
Oh, man, the blue, like the teal with the gold, man, that makes me want to play Scrub Lord Master Yi.
That's right, you do. And that's really it. We've got some new particle effects for Galio, maybe a new set of artwork for Anivia.
Activia? Pudding?
And the pool party skins for the minions are also being tested. We'll have to see where this goes come next patch. That's it for our news this week. We're going to move on to our own section there, folks. Our first question this week actually came from someone at my work. Just asking what game from E3 were you looking forward to specifically? Thank you, Eric.
Can we choose 3?
You can choose one. And why? Let's tack a why on there.
Fallout 4. I know that's cliche. We've already talked about it, but the gameplay that they showed, it was very well. It was very polished. What they're adding to the franchise with the base building, with the mech suits, all sorts of changes. The weapon modifications reminds me of Brink. The only good thing about that game, and how insane how every little scrap and piece of paper you find in the world now is going to have a purpose in one form or another. And I can't wait to hoard up all my brooms and rebuild Megaton in a broomy fashion.
I don't know. Graphically, I'm not impressed with Fallout.
Graphics aren't everything.
You've got an open world game coming out a month before it called Metal Gear Solid 5 that is so far ahead of it graphically. It's just insane. And they're going to have maybe not the same, but comparable world sizes and goals, right? With customization, base building, I get Metal Gear will have multiplayer. Fallout, I doubt we'll have that.
Fallout's not really a franchise that needs it.
And I get that, but it's so far ahead graphically. I was watching the trailer. I'm like, I love weapon customization. Really excited about that. I love building my own armor and choosing what I want with that. And I love, obviously the setting. I'm a big Fallout fan, but I feel like they could have made it look a lot better. And I get that they're making it for consoles as well, but so is Metal Gear.
They did say it's still pre-alpha footage.
That's true, but it's coming out November.
They can still render. They can still update textures, because it's mainly the people that doesn't look good. The environments still look great. It's the people that look plastic. Mm-hmm. So I bet they're still going to work on, and a lot of feedback's probably going to go into the last minute. Let's get that going.
They had PBR for the environments, which, if you're not familiar, PBR is physical-based rendering. Something I'm very familiar with. I mean, they started using it in Star Citizen 2 years ago. No, year and a half ago. And it's probably one of the most incredible rendering technologies we've seen in the past 5 years.
Yep.
Basically, what that does is it changes the lighting and atmospheric effects of the game itself, so that way they look different on different textures. So the light reflecting off metal is different than light on plastic or light on organic material. And so, obviously, in real life, this is very applicable because, when you look at light reflecting off something, it's very different based on the shininess of the surface, what it reflects. And so this is very visible on their environments. Their characters, their weapons even, basically anything that is moved by the character does not look that good.
No, but I think that's something that could be fixed.
Yeah, I mean, when Skyrim came out on the PC, at least, I mean,
Mods.
first 2 months, there was HD texture rehashes on almost everything. And I imagine the same will be for Fallout 4. The PBR might be a little harder to work with, but again, this should be something that just comes with the game. And so it's hard for me to be like, oh, it's fine. It's 2015. There are games comparable to it that have probably the same, if not a weaker budget, and they look better. And so I feel like this game could look better, but it's sacrificing something somewhere. So we'll see. I like it. I'm going to play it. I'm going to buy it. I'm not going to be like, this game sucks, but they could do more, and I am confused why they did not.
I'm just more excited to know about what's going on with this, because they said, oh, we're not going to spoil what happens, but then they immediately like jump ahead. They're like, oh, 200 years in the future. It's like, how does the character just stay in a vault for 200 years? Please elaborate. You can tell us how that happens.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Fallout where people haven't aged, like even in Fallout
Ghouls.
3. Well, ghouls, obviously, and then Fallout 3 specifically, when you go to get to Gek, there's those people in those hypersleep chambers.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking. It's either hypersleep chamber or...
Yeah, and they had the dude playing the dreams the whole time.
How did you feel about the fact that your character is going to be voice acted?
I think that's interesting. It's something Bethesda doesn't really have much experience with. They did it with Mass Effect, obviously.
Yeah.
Was Bethesda Mass Effect?
No, that was BioWare.
Okay. I think it's interesting, actually.
Oh, I'm not cutting that out. You know that, right?
Bethesda doesn't really have much experience with voice acting as far as the single character goes, because they're usually very dialogue heavy. I mean, if you were to put voice acting in Morrowind, for example, I mean, you would die before it was all done.
Yeah.
And obviously, when they pushed for voice acting, a lot of story outside of books that just went between characters actually got cut out. I mean, there is so much less dialogue when you look at Morrowind's characters compared to Skyrim or even Oblivion, And the same could be said between Fallout 2 and Fallout 3. I mean, there's so much less dialogue.
Right.
And even though it's a different studio, voice acting is it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and what's interesting is they took the top 1,000 most common names and they added that to the main storyline, so whenever someone addresses you that knows you, they will address you by name. And they're like, all right, Henry was the example, and then he's like, my name's Henry. And then the bot would be like, hello, Henry. And it's like, that's weird.
Yeah, it's a little goofy. But I guess it's better than having everyone refer to you as Champion, Dustbringer,
Vault Boy,
Chicken Chaser.
What you doing, Chicken Chaser?
Oh.
Stop it.
Old school. But interesting. I'm glad that they did specific names rather than phonetics. Hello, Pussy Dick Destroyer.
44.
It's good to see you. So that's nice. That actually just going with the names. But again, if you have kind of a weird name, like everyone in my family does, like I have a weird name.
You almost said it.
And I don't know. I don't think my name will be in that. I don't use my name.
You use, some of your characters, which
Some
also
of my
have
characters, which again, also weirdly named. It's a trend, but we'll see. That's me being butt frustrated about Fallout, though. My favorite game.
We haven't even gotten to it yet.
So I'm torn. Obviously, I'm a big Star Citizen fan. Wasn't at E3, which
Nope.
boo-hoo. E3's kind of an outsider. I can't imagine why they weren't invited. Oh, that's right, because they don't have shareholders. But I'm really torn. I like Star Wars. I like Battlefront. Battlefront 3 isn't going to be as good as I want it to be. As much as that I want it to be.
It's going to be laden with DLC, I have a feeling.
What is the other game that I like again? Metal Gear Solid. So Metal Gear Solid 5 technically isn't at E3. It was at the Konami Con. So I guess in that case I have to default to technically I have to default to Battlefront 3. Or just Battlefront. So many technicalities here. 4 planets is not enough. No space battles is stupid. Hero characters being as overpowered as they looked in the show is stupid. That's not the point of Battlefront.
You're supposed to be a grunt the whole time.
That's right. That's what made Battlefront 1 very good, is that there were NPC hero units, which I'm fine with, but having one player be like, "Lil, you're dead," and with one force push, that was actually the most frustrating part.
Because some guy's going to abuse that.
Well, you are supposed to abuse it. AT-ATs on rails is silly. Power-ups on the ground is silly. I like that there's no ADS. I like that. I like that a lot. So that was pleasing to me. The jetpacks not being a controlled thing, but rather a jump jet. I saw that it was a jump jet. There might be more jetpack gameplay than that. But just having a jump jet, I think, is good. Especially for a very imprecise game, which is what Battlefront is supposed to be. You can't have dudes wiggling around in the air. That's just, it will not work. So I'm glad that it is specifically a jump jet. If they change that, I will be upset.
Beautiful looking though.
Very nice looking.
When the orbital strike came down, and like you'd see all like
the snow effects were good. I liked that a lot. I think they could be better, but we'll have to see how they look on release. EA has kind of a bad pedigree of making things look better on release, but we'll see. I don't know.
We will see.
I'm excited. I think it's got a lot of negative stuff to it,
right.
And after the blunder that was Hardline, it's hard to be too excited for release. Is it weird to say that I'm more excited for Battlefront 3 like 2 months after release than I am for release?
Not at all. That's how I am about Fallout, but I'm gonna get it anyways, bugs and all.
That's right. Oh boy. So, Battlefront, Fallout, it'll be great. Can't do Star Citizen obviously because I'm hype train, and I can't do Metal Gear.
I can't talk about anything from the Smash Brother thing because it already came out. They're like, hey, it's just here. Ta-da!
Did you see Reggie get destroyed by Hungry Box?
That was so funny.
It was like 1 in 12. Oh, God.
If you want more like this, go check out the Patreon. We will actually do a second show like this if we can hit our goal, because this is really fun to talk about.
But that's it for questions this week, guys. We love to answer questions on the show. If you have a question for us about the show, about video games in general, about what we do, about what we enjoy, about what's coming up for the show, about what's coming up for us, we've answered questions about what League of Legends characters we would touch butts with. I mean, we'll really talk about anything. We're pretty stupid.
I chose Tarek.
You can post them in the comment section below. You can send them to our email at spestigaming@gmail.com. Post them on our Facebook, Twitter, or website, all of which are linked in the information down below. As Water Elemental mentioned, we have a Patreon where you can get exclusive content for Twitch, for YouTube, for extra stuff on the website, even for fascinating new goals, such as...
We have updated the goals. There'll be a video coming up right before this, I believe, so that should have already been out. Depends when I actually get everything uploaded. But that will talk about the new goals and what we're planning to do with those goals, like a new podcast where we're talking about more gaming stuff, because we been doing that for a while. We just have no money. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's get out of here. I'm super tired. This has been Water Elemental.
This has been Axis. Don't we normally reverse that?
I'm having a stroke.
Water Elemental. Strokes have been described as a lumbering dinosaur. That was not even close.
I can't do a Homer scream.
Woo!